Hey guys, it is Saturday, December 14th. We're at 101 and change. The title of this episode, you're going to like this one, is called The Case for the Bitcoin 7-Year SuperCycle. Before I get into this amazing episode, I want you to hit the subscribe button on YouTube. I need those subscribers. I'm begging you for those subscribers. Please also follow me on Twitter, .Kruger. And you can subscribe there too. It's $1 a month. I call it the Dollar Shave Club of Bitcoin. You get access to me a little bit more. I put some extra content on there. Thank you very much. Okay, what is this episode? I want to talk about this case. We're now getting into 2025. And I want to talk about the case for a very long extended bull market in Bitcoin without the quote unquote 4-year cycle, which I think might be on its deathbed. So let's go into, first I want to share, first of all, a tweet from Bitwise. Bitwise comes out and it says, here's the 4-year cycles, right? And it says that we're in this cycle now called the mainstream cycle. And we're, currently at 101.5 here. This suggests a very good year next year. The third year has always been the better one of the three, except last cycle wasn't that great. But there's sort of an expectation for really good 2025 and a bad 2026, right? And then they sort of pass the next cycle will be the gold cycle when we pass gold. And so they predict a $1 million price of Bitcoin in 2029, which I'm not going to argue with, but what I do want to argue with is this idea of that these things are automatically chopped into 4-year cycles with every fourth year being terrible, right? So, I think that there is a case to be made that we may not have a disastrous 2026, and that's really the point of this thing. So let's go into this tweet that I just made, and I'm talking about the mining sales versus halving. So if we're looking right now, you have the ETFs and MicroStrategies together this year. They've accounted for, MicroStrategy has 400,000 Bitcoin, right? And the ETFs have added over 400,000 Bitcoin since the 600,000 that Grayscale had, right? So together between these two, we've added, 800,000 Bitcoin. I'm just going to round it to 800,000 Bitcoin over 300 days. It's a little bit more than 2,000 Bitcoin a day. I'm just going to round it down to 2,000 for argument's sake. And so we've been buying 2,000 Bitcoin a day, right, on average this year. But the mining rewards have been only 450 Bitcoin a day. So it's really almost, it's almost 4x what it is right now. Now, what happens in the next mining cycle? Well, certainly this number we know is going to go down. It's going to go down to half, right? It's going to go down to 225. What about this number? Well, this number I think will totally stay the same, even at a higher price of Bitcoin, right? And it may, in fact, go up. So I think it's going to look more like this next Bitcoin cycle. So, people saying, well, there's going to be a massive shock. Well, not really. I mean, it'll be entirely demand-driven. So I think you really can make the case that, mining no longer matters. It's just, especially with these big mainstream TradFi players coming in, it no longer matters, even in Bitcoin terms, okay? So now let's talk about a different hypothesis. Let's talk about the gold hypothesis. Now, when gold came out in 2004, the gold ETF, we didn't have a massive inflation. We didn't have a lot of massive need for gold. I was involved in gold. I owned gold from way back, from 1991, I owned gold. And I participated in this gold GLD ETF right when it came out. And I can tell you, it was a very different story. It wasn't a 4-year cyclical story. It just kept on going up. So we went from 400 bucks an ounce to 500 to 600 to 800 to 865. A little bit of a pause there for 2008, but not much. 2009, we rallied all the way back, and then up to almost 1,100, and then 1,400, then 1,500. We peaked at 1,800 in 2012. Okay, so we've had this amazing, 7-year bull market in gold, right? 7-year bull market in gold. Now, are you getting where I'm going with this? That's what I think is going to happen here. So let's go back to the Bitwise thing. I'm thinking that we go from there all the way up to there in more or less of a straight bull market. Now, again, it's not going to, what I mean is probably we have closing higher, 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 higher. Now, does it mean we're 100% going to get there? No. Could we have a 50% down year? Yeah. But does it have to happen on 4-year cycles? No. Is it connected to the halving? No. And let's take a look at Amazon and Apple, right? Because these two are pretty good. This is really what's driving the U.S. stock market right now is these magnificent 7. Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Tesla, NVIDIA, Meta. Okay. Now, if I just look at Amazon in 2014, right? Amazon, you could have almost said, well, maybe it's finished in 2014. But no, it had this huge run ahead of it. Now, we dropped 22%, then we went up 69%, 40, 57, 29, 18, 80, up 5. And then 2022, we had a down year, down 50, then up 72, then up 56. So you get my drift. These prices are all more or less going up, except for this year. 2022, right? That was the 1 year they started dropping, and they kept on going up, right? So you're like, oh my God, so this has been such an easy trade. No, it wasn't easy, because what you did here is you took profit there, okay? That's what happened. And I can tell you from experience, a lot of us did. And some of us, like I got back in and stuff, but I didn't hold throughout this thing. I didn't realize this 10X. And that's one of the things you kind of learn in retrospect is you've got these major 10-year stories happening. And, if you start trading them, you're going to be in and out. You're not going to catch the big moves. You're not going to catch these 10X movements that you saw here. So, what did you have to do over the last decade? You just had to be involved in Amazon and not sell. That was it, right? You would have made 10X. Now, what about Apple? I could go through all these things. They're all very similar, but I'm going to just take a look at Apple. Apple could have bought it for $28 in 2014. It went down a little bit in 2015. Okay, you might thought the sky's falling, but no, it kept going back up. Went double, went up 50%, down a little bit, up 80%, up 86%, up 30%, down 26%, up 46%, up 30%. And the cumulative effect of all that is up, almost 10X, right? So my point is, you can get these moves that are like 10X moves. NVIDIA was up 60X. Tesla was up 20X. You can get these big moves, and you're really just paid to sit there and play these things from a longer term horizon. Now, we have BlackRock is basically saying right now that Bitcoin belongs in that bucket. It belongs in the kind of bucket of NVIDIA, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, the Magnificent 7. Maybe it's called the Great 8. I don't know what new name they're going to have, but it's going to be in there now. And really, I think it would be really a shame if you got out of Bitcoin completely next year just because you thought there's going to be this 4-year cycle and you're going to get wrecked. Don't be your own worst enemy. That's the only thing I can say. So that's my video today. Hope you've learned something. I'm trying to sort of do this partially to convince myself to never sell really any significant amount of my Bitcoin. Again, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. I'll catch you guys online. We got a pretty interesting bunch of people next week. We have Tad Smith from Sotheby's talking about art versus Bitcoin, art on Bitcoin, different kind of things to do with the art world, what he obviously knows inside out. We have Ian Smith on the quantum stuff next week. And then we're starting to kind of get in almost into the vacation week. But join us on Bitcoin First for some really cool spaces, and we'd love to have you speak as well. So talk to you guys soon. Bye.